Hi, welcome to Africa in Perspective. My name is Nelda and I make videos about Africa from Mondays to Fridays. Today we're talking about how Chad has responded to the United States ban. So, in case you don't know, 10 days ago, literally, the President of the United States, Donald Trump, decided to issue a travel ban to 12 different countries. Seven out of those countries were African countries, and one out of those African countries was Chad. So, Chad literally responded the next day and saying, okay, we are also going to ban all American citizens from coming into Chad. So in this video, we're going to be talking about how this came about and also the greater implications that this has on Chad as well as the greater African continent. If that sounds interesting, feel free to subscribe and watch the video. Literally 10 days ago, the president of Chad, President Muhammad Idris Déby Itno, decided to issue a full ban on citizens of the United States traveling into Chad. And this is part of his efforts to reciprocate what the United States has done to Chad. So basically, like I said in the introduction, Trump, the president of the United States, issued a ban, and Chad was one of the countries that was affected. And so multiple people have responded to this ban, both from the United States side towards Chad and then from Chad to the United States. And I also did a video about this. If you're interested, I'll link it somewhere here or here. And so my opinion is this. I'm just gonna go straight at it. The fight between Chad and the United States is like a mosquito fighting a human being. And so you could argue that that is very offensive, but hear me out because, sure, a mosquito is smaller than a human being. However, you have to remember that mosquitoes have killed human beings, that some people have died from malaria. And so even though Chad is quote unquote a smaller country in terms of population, Chad has roughly a population of 19 million compared to the United States that is in 300 plus million. Chad, in terms of GDP as well, its GDP per capita is roughly $1,400. That is nothing compared to the United States. In terms of military power as well. So if you look at Chad as a country, as an individual country, sure, it's less than the power that America has and the influence that America has. However, I think the move that the president of Chad has made is quite a strong move for multiple reasons. The first reason is this is assertive. And I think that is what people don't get because I was reading the comment section after he issued the statement, and I'm going to be reading the statement for you. But after he issued the statement saying we're also going to suspend American visas, a lot of people were like,
But Chad is not even a very strong country. Like, do you think America's going to be affected by this?
the point is not about America being affected by this. The point is Chad is being assertive. It is asserting that as a country, no matter how disregarded they are in the world, they still are, they have their own pride and they have their own sovereignty as a country. So the exact statement from President Déby is, I have instructed the government to act in accordance with the principles of reciprocity and suspend the granting of visas to citizens of the United States of America. Chad has neither planes to offer nor billions of dollars to give, but Chad has its dignity and its pride. Chef's kiss. I love the last statement. I love the last statement because low key, it's a little bit, there's some shade in there when he says Chad has neither planes to offer and nor billions of dollars to give. He's allegedly, I don't want to get in trouble, allegedly referring to what Qatar did by giving Trump something, something. So to me, I'm just like, that was very strong. It was a very strong assertion to be like, we have our pride, we have our dignity, and even if we're not going to like, I don't know, beg you and give you money and try to please you, we have that pride and dignity to say like we are Chadians, and no matter what happens, we're going to stick by ourselves and we're going to fight for our people. And I think part of the reasons Chad is kind of offended by this move from the United States is that compared to the other countries that have been banned, because there were seven countries that were banned, including Libya, I think there was also Eritrea, there was also Equatorial Guinea. Multiple countries were banned, but Chad was one out of the other six countries. Chad was one of the countries that was actually cooperating with the United States in a lot of things, including counter-terrorist efforts. So if you look at Chad in the map of Africa, Chad is surrounded by Sudan on its east, and then there's Niger on the west. There's a little bit of Nigeria towards the southeast part. There's Libya on top, and Libya was also one of the countries that was also banned in this travel ban. But Chad was actually cooperating with the United States in its counter-terrorist efforts with Boko Haram coming from the southeast part, so towards Nigeria, and also with ISIS, who have been affiliated with Libya, for example. So Chad was actually cooperating. So they're like, we're actually trying to cooperate with you as a nation, but you're also not treating us with dignity and treating us with respect. You're banning our people. Now, the question is, why exactly was Chad banned? Why were Chadians banned from entering the United States? the specific reasons cited for Chad were, number one, they have, this is not me saying this, guys, this is what I read, what the Trump administration said. They have weak vetting systems, particularly to do with their identity management. So one of the things the United States requests for is cooperation from countries that are sending people over to the US. It's that you cooperate, you share all the data you have of these people, you make sure that they're screened and they're vetted, so criminals are not leaving your country and coming into ours. That's one of the reasons that was cited. The other reason that was cited was visa overstays. And I said this, didn't I say this in my other video, which I'm going to link? I said this. I said, if you're an African and you're living abroad, your actions are not viewed as individual actions. Your actions are going to affect everybody else. So, Chad in particular, 49.54% of Chadians going to the United States overstay their visas, which means if you have a group of roughly 1,000 Chadians, roughly 500 of them are going to overstay their visas in America. So, and hear me out, guys. Don't attack me in the comment section, but just hear me out. From America's perspective, you can see how this led to a ban. I'm not saying that the ban in its entirety was justified, because there's also a lot of, in the video, I titled my video, "Isn't this racism?" because it felt like we were being targeted as a continent. Like 7 out of 12 countries that were banned, 7 of them were Africa. That was really, really offensive. I was actually very offended on behalf of you guys. And so, but you can see it from America's perspective that we're letting your people into our country, we have a good relationship, but your people are coming in and they're overstaying their visas. You can see where they're coming from, guys. You can see where they're coming from. So you people going to other people's countries, just leave. When your visa is done, just leave. I know that's very easy to say, but you have to understand that that will affect your ability to enter that country again, and it will also affect other people's ability to enter that country again. So you have to think, this is very weird to say, but you have to think of the community, not just yourself. I know, especially because if you're sent by the village, you have to think of the village. Speaking of the village, a majority of Chad's population lives in villages, which some people say is a good thing, some people say is a bad thing. However you take it, Chad as a country is not that developed, which is why a lot of people are saying this move of reciprocation is not really going to hurt the US. However, just humor me for a couple minutes, guys. This is the philosopher in me speaking. Chad is one of the most beautiful countries in Africa. I'm going to try and insert photos just somewhere here on the screen so you can see. I personally, the fact that I've never been to Chad, I'm so hurt. I would like to assert officially, there's official list of top 10 African countries that are beautiful. Tanzania is obviously number one, but I would argue that Chad would be one of the top 10 beautiful countries in Africa. It's so beautiful, and I definitely will be visiting. So, philosophically speaking, you could argue that Americans are going to be missing out of all this beauty that Chad has to offer, even though it's a poor country, sure, but they're going to be missing out of this. But that's just one of the conversations that we're going to have here, is that does it really matter when a quote unquote small country is banning a quote unquote bigger country? Well, like I said in the beginning, it's the case of a mosquito versus a human being, but you have to remember that, again, mosquitoes have the capacity to kill human beings. So, all in all, because I'm trying to look at my notes to see if I'm missing anything at all. All in all, I think this was a good move. I think it was a positive move from the president of Chad to be like, we're going to stand by our people, we're going to stand by our pride and our dignity, and we're also going to issue this ban. And although I think, realistically speaking, this is a short-term solution, I don't think this is a long-term solution, guys. Let's be serious. I think it's an opportunity for Chad, as well as not the United States, African Union, to work together to ensure that they're going to try and find a way to peacefully negotiate. Because I was reading the comments, and I'll link the post in this video as well in the comment in the description box, so that you can read the comment section of President Déby's post. And some people are like, oh yes, Chad, let's go. But some people also like, Mr. President, think realistically about how many people this is going to hurt. Because the United States has the power to crush countries that are weaker than it, and it has used that power before. So I think we are at a disadvantage. I'm not Chadian, but Africa as a continent is at a disadvantage when we're trying to fight the United States. And I think the better route is the negotiation route. So I wonder what you people think about this, because in the video that I did with Trump banning, and I was explaining why Trump banned African countries, a lot of people are offended. And honestly, I kind of get the concept, but there's also a part of me that's like, you can see where the United States is coming from. So you can see where the US is coming from. But I also applaud the move from Chad, because I think it's asserting that we have sovereignty as African countries have sovereignty. It may not be powerful sovereignty when we exercise it, but it's still sovereignty regardless. And so I'm waiting to hear back on how other countries will respond, because other countries didn't. So maybe they've responded. I mean, silence is a response as well, but they haven't responded in a very way like Chad. So I'm looking forward to hearing what other countries do. And thank you so much for watching this video. If you have any comments, don't forget to subscribe. If you have any comments at all, please let me know in the comment section. And you'll see me in the next video. Bye.